I just got back from Miami, but my mind was a million miles away. I felt restless, like the trip didn't really give me the break I thought it would. I kept thinking about Tyree, but mostly I couldn't stop thinking about my mom. I hadn't seen her in months, and today was the day I finally made up my mind to visit her. I walked into the prison lobby. I hadn't been here in a while, and the place still felt the same. It wasn't like I forgot how it all worked, but it still hit me every time. I could feel my heart in my throat as I went through the security check. They called me earlier, telling me Mom was waiting for me in the visiting area. I've been avoiding this moment, but now that I was here, I knew it was time. The guard led me down the hall, the sharp clicks of my shoes against the concrete floor. I couldn't shake the nervousness that had been building for days. Finally, we reached the visiting room. I saw her sitting there, her back straight, staring at the table in front of her. Her face was thinner, but still my mom. She looked up when I stepped in, and for a second, I saw hope in her eyes. "Bree!" Her voice cracked like it had been waiting to say my name so long. "How was your trip?" I sighed, trying to push the tension away. "It was okay. Miami was fun, I guess, but it wasn't like I thought it'd be. I don't know, Ma. Things been crazy. I get it. I know things haven't been easy for you. I hate that I'm not there to help you through it." She looked down, shame clouding her features. "It's not your fault," I said, the words coming out softer than I intended. "You're stuck here. I get it. I never wanted this for you, Bree. I never wanted to put you through this. I got caught up in the wrong things." I swallowed hard, blinking back the tears that threatened to spill. I hated seeing her like this, seeing how broken she was. But I couldn't change it. We couldn't change the past. I forced a smile, though it felt fragile. "It's okay, Ma. I'm getting by. I have people looking out for me." Her eyes flicked to the side, as if the mention of people made her uneasy. She cleared her throat, avoiding my gaze. "I'm glad. I just wish I could be there for you. I want you to be safe, Bree. Don't let the world swallow you up like it did me and your dad." "I know," I said. I wasn't sure if I believed it, but I needed to hear it. "I'll be okay." The silence fell again, but this time it wasn't uncomfortable. It was just sad. We both knew what we were up against, and we both knew how little time we had left before the guard would come to take her back. "Keep your head up, okay? You deserve better than what's been handed to you." "I know," I said. "I'll be okay." The guard came to the door, signaling that my time was up. I stood, and she stood with me. "I love you, Bree. Always, no matter what happens." "I love you too, Ma," I said, my voice thick with emotion. It was the only thing I could say, even though it didn't feel like enough. As I walked out of the room, I could still feel her eyes on me. I was leaving her behind again, but I didn't know what else to do. I couldn't change anything, and the world outside was waiting for me. I was just sitting on the couch watching TV when my phone rang. I didn't recognize the number, but something in my gut told me I should answer. "Hello?"
"Hey, Bree, it's Lisa."
My heart skipped a beat. It had been a while since I talked to her, but hearing her voice again instantly made me feel safe. "Oh, hey! Hey, Lisa!"
"I've been thinking about you a lot. Look, I know things didn't work out with you staying with me, and I'm sorry about that. I really wanted to help you, but with everything going on, I just couldn't make it work. But I still want to do something for you. I don't want you to feel stuck."
My chest tightened as I listened. I knew she felt guilty about the whole situation, but hearing her say it out loud hit me harder than I expected. You already done so much for me, Lisa. You really don't have to. I started, but she cut me off.
No, I need you to listen,
she said, her voice firm.
I can't let you keep walking around depending on others. I want to help you in a way that'll actually make a difference for you.
I leaned forward, trying to get a grip on what she was saying. What do you mean?
I got an old car sitting in my driveway. It's nothing fancy, but it still runs, and I've been thinking, I want to give it to you. I want you to have something of your own, something that gives you a little freedom.
I couldn't process it at first. A car? She wanted to give me a car? I was silent for a moment, the shock settling in. I wasn't even thinking about getting a car, and yet here she was offering me one. Wait, are you serious?
I'm serious,
she said, her tone gentle.
It's just sitting there, and I'd rather see it go to someone who needs it. You going through a lot, Bree, and I want to make sure you don't feel trapped. I can't give you a place to stay right now, but I can give you a way to get to where you need to go.
I was speechless. I felt the weight of her kindness and generosity in that moment, and it was overwhelming. My eyes welled up with tears, not because I was sad, but because I was so grateful. Lisa, I don't know what to say. That's...
You don't have to say anything. I just want you to have something of your own, Bree. I want to see you succeed.
The tears started to fall freely now. I wiped my face quickly, embarrassed, but not caring. This was the kind of support I didn't even know I needed. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll take care of it, I promise.
I know you will. I'll have the paperwork ready and we can meet up tomorrow. It's yours, Bree. Take it and use it however you need.
I sat back on the couch, my heart full. I didn't know how to repay her, but I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't going to let this gift go to waste. This was my chance to take a step forward, to get somewhere in life, and I was going to make the most of it. Thank you, I repeated, still struggling to find the right words. You don't know how much this means to me.
Of course. I'll see you tomorrow. We'll take care of everything then.
I hung up the phone and just sat there for a moment, letting everything sink in. A car. It wasn't just a car. It was a lifeline, a chance to take control of my own future, to not have to rely on anyone else. And it was a reminder that there were people out there who cared about me, people who still wanted to help me even when things were tough. The next day, I spent my day cruising around. I had the windows down, the breeze rushing through my hair as I drove through neighborhoods I never paid attention to before. For the first time, I felt free, like I could go anywhere. No bus schedules, no waiting around for a ride, just me, the road, and the car that was all mine. It wasn't anything fancy, but it was mine. I pulled into a small park, parked, and just sat there for a while, taking it all in. I walked in the front door later that evening, a little tired from driving around all day. The moment I stepped in the living room, I could feel the tension in the air. Rita was sitting on the couch, her arms crossed, eyes focused on the TV, but her expression anything but relaxed. Kim was sitting beside her, talking, but there was a nervous energy in her voice, like she was trying to fill the silence. "Hey, Rita," I greeted, trying to keep it light, but the coldness in her response was immediate. She muttered, barely acknowledging me. Her tone was sharp, and I could feel her frustration. "Okay," I said under my breath, unsure what was going on. I don't want to deal with whatever was happening, so I excused myself, heading to the back porch. When I stepped outside, I found Tyree leaning against the railing, looking out into the yard. He turned when he heard me, his eyes softened. "You good?" he asked, sensing my tension. "Yeah, but Rita's in here acting weird. She got an attitude. What's her problem?" "I've been trying to figure that out all day." I thought maybe it was just work, but something feels different. I don't know. I sighed, confused. I don't get it. She haven't said nothing, just gave me the cold shoulder. Same here, he said, rubbing his neck. Could be some drama with her and Kim. Who knows? Tyree gave me a look, like he was weighing something before he said, well, if it's important, she'll tell me. Just keep your distance for now. We don't need to get wrapped up in her shit. I nodded, but the uneasy feeling in my stomach didn't go away. I couldn't shake the feeling that something bigger was going on with Aunt Rita. The next few weeks felt like a strange return to normal, though there was still a lingering unease between me and Rita. She had loosened up a little, but her attitude was still unpredictable at times. Kim hadn't been around much, and whenever she did pop by, things seemed calmer. I spent most of my time enjoying the freedom my new car gave me. Tyree and I had a few hangouts, just getting some lunch or cruising around. There was a strange comfort in the simplicity of it all. Even when Rita would get into one of her moods, I focused on the positive, like the fact that I was gaining more control over my life, and that meant a lot. Tyree and I still hadn't really talked much about the tension between me and Rita. It was like an unspoken agreement. If she didn't bring it up, we wouldn't either. The next few weeks settled into a strange rhythm. Rita's new overnight shifts kept her away more often, leaving Tyree and me alone for longer stretches. At first, I wasn't sure how I felt about it. I'd grown used to the quiet distance that filled the house when Rita was around. But now, with just Tyree and me, it felt different. It wasn't uncomfortable, but it wasn't exactly familiar either. I was half asleep when I heard my door creak open. My heart jumped, my breath catching in my throat. I didn't have to turn around and know it was him. Tyree. I felt him before I saw him, the heat of his presence filling the room. The door clicked shut, and then his voice. I can't do this no more. I turned over. He was standing near the door, his hand still on the knob like he was giving himself a way out. But his eyes told a different story. I sat up slowly, my heart racing. Do what? Tyree exhaled, rubbing his hand down his face. He looked torn, frustrated, like he'd been battling something too heavy to carry alone. He took a step closer, then another, until he was right at the edge of my bed. I think about you. I want you. Tyree. Nah, don't do that. He shook his head, his jaw tight. I done tried to fight it. I tried to stay in my lane. I tried to keep my head straight. But every time I close my eyes, it's you. Every time I breathe, it's you. His words sent a chill down my spine. I wanted to deny it, to tell him to stop, but I couldn't. Because the truth was, I felt it too. Say something, Bree. Tell me I'm crazy. Tell me to leave, something. I wasn't gonna tell him to leave. I wasn't gonna stop him. I reached out, my hand to pull him down, closer to me. You not crazy, I whispered. That was all it took. In a heartbeat, he was all over me. The next morning, I woke up to the sunlight slipping through my blinds. For a second, everything felt peaceful. But then, reality hit. Tyree. I turned over, expecting to see him beside me, but the space where he had been was empty. The sheets were slightly rumpled, his warmth still lingering, but he was gone. My heart sank. I sat up, running a hand through my hair, my mind racing. Before I could think too much, my door creaked open just enough for me to see him peeking in. He was already dressed. You woke? He asked, his voice low. I nodded, pulling the blanket tighter around me. Breakfast ready? Just waiting on you? He said with a smirk. I sat at the kitchen table, pushing my fork through my scrambled eggs. Tyree sat across from me, his own plate barely touched. There was an unusual stillness in the house. No sound of heels clicking against the floor, no irritated sighs, no Rita. I glanced at the clock. She should have been home by now. Yeah, you talked to her? I shook my head. Nope. Tyree exhaled and set his phone down on the table. She ain't answering me either. She probably had to work a double. She would have at least called to let us know. Not if she's pissed about something, Tyree muttered. You think she mad? I mean, when ain't she mad? I smirked a little, but the unease in my stomach didn't fade. Aunt Rita was unpredictable, sure, but she was also routine. She always came home at the same time, even if just to complain about how tired she was. The day felt like it was moving in slow motion. Tyree and I were sitting on the couch, the air between us relaxed as he cracked jokes about any and everything. Right when he was getting ready to crack another one, we both froze as the sound of a car engine from outside filled in. It was faint at first, but as it got closer, we both recognized the distinct sound of Aunt Rita's car pulling up in the driveway. When she walked in, the energy changed. It was subtle at first, just the weight of her presence. But then I saw her face. It was frowned, her lips pressed into a thin, trembling line, and her eyes red and puffy, like she'd been crying. She didn't sit down. She didn't look at us. Instead, she walked straight to the kitchen counter and grabbed her laptop. Watch this. Her hand shaking as she hooked it up to the TV. What's going on? Tyree said. But she didn't answer. She just pressed play. And then I saw it. At first, I didn't recognize the scene. It was grainy footage from a security camera, a room, dimly lit. Then I saw myself, laying there. And in walks Tyree. My heart dropped into my stomach. There he was, touching and kissing all over me. The footage was clear, and it was damning. The footage stopped. The room fell into silence so heavy I could barely breathe. Tyree stuck staring at the recording in disbelief. Aunt Rita had hidden a camera in my bedroom. Her eyes snapped at mine, and for the first time, I saw tears. Not the kind that spill over in waves, but the kind that sit on the edge of a person's soul, refusing to fall because they're too tired and too broken. I didn't mean for it to happen, I said, and that's when she lunged at me, striking me upside the head with what felt like a ton of bricks. You ungrateful bitch, she screamed. I take you in, and this is how you repay me? Aunt Rita hurled insults at both of us, calling me pathetic and accusing Tyree of being a manipulative liar. You think he loves you? She screamed at me. You're not even his type. He's using you, and you're too stupid to see it. Her words cut deep, but Tyree's silence hurt even more. He didn't deny it. He didn't defend me. He just stood there, looking guilty. Eventually, Aunt Rita kicked him out of the house. He left without a fight, without even glancing back at me. I thought he would turn back to say something, to make it all better, but he didn't. He left without a word. Once he was gone, Aunt Rita turned her full fury on me. The room felt like it was closing in around me as Rita's voice sliced through the air, spit flying with every word. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest as she stormed around, throwing insults at me like she was on some kind of mission to destroy everything I ever known. She wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. The disgust was written on her face. I never liked you, Bree. Never. You've always been a problem, a damn burden. You don't belong here, and I'm tired of pretending to give a fuck about you. Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. My throat tightened, but I couldn't find the words to fight back. She wasn't done yet. She had more to say, more to make me feel like I was nothing. You want to know the real story? She spat the words out, walking closer to me. I never liked you or your mother. I always told my brother he could do so much better than her. You thought you were staying under my roof for free. Well, news flash. I got credit cards in your name. Did you know that? She laughed a bitter laugh as I froze in shock. I took it and used it for whatever I wanted. The trip to Miami, the hotel, the flights, all of it on your dime. Hell, I even bought your birthday gift with your own damn money. My mind couldn't process what she was saying, what she was doing. This wasn't just a betrayal. This was next level. She laughed again, that cold, mocking sound that sent chills down my spine. Ask Tyree to help you pay off that debt. You wanted to be a part of this family, huh? Well, here you go. Hope it's everything you ever wanted. Now you can get the fuck out of my house. I could feel the tears threatening to fall, but I refused to let her see me break. I wasn't gonna let her have that satisfaction. That night, I packed what little I had and left. I didn't have a plan, but I knew I needed to get far away. It had been 3 weeks since Rita kicked me out. 3 whole weeks, and I still can't wrap my mind around it. I had nothing, no plan, no direction. Rita's words played in my head every night, haunting me in the silence of my car. She made it clear I didn't belong, and now I was living the consequences of that. She kicked me out with no warning, and I hadn't heard from Tyree since. Not a word, not even a damn text. I was parked in a dark, quiet corner of a parking lot. The city lights flickered in the distance, but they felt so far away. It seemed like I was trapped in a world where nothing made sense anymore. My phone sat next to me, but I didn't have the courage to check it. Every time I picked it up, I saw his name, but I couldn't bring myself to dial it. I didn't know what I'd say. What could I say? I curled up in the front seat, pulling my jacket around me for warmth, but it wasn't enough. I could barely sleep. The hard seats, the cold air, and the gnawing anxiety that kept me up all night. My stomach growled with hunger, but I didn't have the energy to care. I was stuck in this moment with no way out. I thought about Tyree, thought about how close we had gotten, how everything had changed in the blink of an eye, how we had gotten too close, too fast, how we let ourselves fall into a mess of confusion and desire, only for it to all crumble once Rita found out. But now it was just me, alone. I tried to get comfortable in the car, but it was no use. My eyes kept drifting to my phone, wanting it to ring, wanting Tyree to call me, maybe to check in, maybe to apologize for not being there. But the damn thing stayed silent. I could hear the sound of my own heartbeat, the only thing keeping me company. My eyes stung with unshed tears, but I refused to cry. I had nothing left to cry about. The reality of my situation hit me hard. I was homeless, sleeping in my car, with no idea where I was going to go next. I was running on empty, physically and mentally. I thought about calling Lisa. I wanted to. Hell, I needed to. But something in me held back. Maybe it was pride. Maybe it was fear. Fear of what she would say. I leaned my head back against the seat, closing my eyes for a moment, but the thoughts kept spinning. Rita, Tyree, this whole damn mess. Everything felt broken, and I didn't know how to fix it. I had no family, no home, no direction, just this car and the hope that tomorrow would bring something different. The warm air hit me hard as I pushed up in the diner door. My body shivered as I walked in. It wasn't much, but a cup of hot chocolate sounded like a little piece of comfort in a world that had been anything but. I took a seat at the counter, pulling my jacket tighter around me as the waitress came over. "What can I get you, huh?" she asked with a warm smile. "Hot chocolate, please," I mumbled, barely making eye contact. I wasn't in the mood for small talk. I just needed warmth, something to keep me going for the night. I watched her pour the hot drink, the steam rising from the mug, and felt a pang of sadness in my chest. I was homeless and hungry, and all I could afford was a cup of hot chocolate. As I sipped the hot chocolate, I glanced up at the bulletin board behind the counter. I saw it, a small sign that read hiring. It seemed like a strange coincidence, but the thought of a job, something stable, something that could get me out of this situation made my heart race. "Excuse me," I called out to the waitress. "Is that hiring sign still good?" "Yeah, we're looking for someone to help out. You interested?" I hesitated, unsure this was really happening, but I didn't have anything to lose. I like to inquire about the job." "I'll let the manager know. Go ahead and fill out an application and I'll grab them." I filled out the application quickly, my fingers trembling slightly as I wrote my name. It felt like the first bit of hope I had in days. When I finished, the waitress led me to the manager, a man in his early 40s who looked up from the register as I approached. "Hey there, I hear you're interested in a job?" "Yes, I am. I really need a job. I can start immediately." "Well, you got the right attitude. We could use someone like you. You can start tomorrow if you want. Just need you to be here by 6 a.m. for the morning shift." My heart skipped a beat. Thank you. Thank you so much. I felt a little lighter as I walked out the diner, the promise of work giving me some sense of stability. The next morning, I was there at 6 a.m. sharp, ready to prove myself. The days blurred into one another as I learned the ropes of the diner. I worked hard, kept my head down, and just focused on getting through each shift. But even though I was doing something, it wasn't enough to change the fact that I was still living in my car, still homeless. One night, after my shift ended, I sat on the curb outside the diner, exhausted. The cold air bit into me, but I didn't care. I was used to it now. But as I was about to climb into my car, the manager, Tom, came outside looking concerned. "Brianna, you all right?" I straightened up, startled. "Yeah, just tired," I said, forcing a smile. He shook his head, walking over to me. "I see you here every night. Are you living in that car?" My heart sunk. I didn't know what to say. I didn't want to burden anyone with my problems, but the way he was looking at me like he actually cared made me crack a little. "Yeah," I admitted. "I'm homeless right now. I've been living in my car." He didn't say anything for a long moment, just stood there watching me with soft eyes. "You don't have to keep doing that. I have a small apartment upstairs above the diner. I've got a couch and an extra bed. You can stay there as long as you want." I blinked at him, stunned. "Are you serious? You let me stay there?" "Yes. I've been watching you work hard. You deserve better than this. I can't have you out here sleeping in your car every night." Tears welled in my eyes, but I quickly wiped them away. I didn't want to seem weak, but damn, I was so grateful. "Thank you," I whispered. "I don't know how to repay you. Just get back on your feet. That's all I ask." The apartment felt like a whole new world. The tiny space was modest, but it was mine, something I hadn't had in so long. I took a deep breath, letting the familiar scent of cleaning supplies and fresh linen fill my lungs. The couch, though a bit worn, was comfortable, and the small kitchen had everything needed to cook simple meals. It was all I needed for now. I set my work bag down on the counter and took a moment to look around. The space wasn't much, but it was clean, private, and mine. I wasn't sleeping in my car anymore. Work was going good. I was getting the hang of things at the diner. The staff had become like a second family, and the tips were decent enough to cover my basic needs. Tom had even complimented me on my work ethic, which made me feel good. It was small victories like that that made me think maybe I was going to be okay. I kicked off my shoes and collapsed on the couch, feeling the tension in my body finally ease. I was no longer worried about what tomorrow would bring. Things were starting to look up. I smiled to myself, realizing I was starting to feel at home. The transition wasn't easy. There were nights I cried myself to sleep, wondering if I made the right choice. I missed my parents, even though they were the reason I ended up in this. I missed the feeling of being cared for, of having a family. But slowly, I began to rebuild. I enrolled in a community college, saving every spare penny from the shifts at the diner. I made friends, real friends who didn't judge me for my past. I started journaling, pouring out the pain and confusion that had been bottled up inside me for so long. Over time, I began to heal.
I had been working at the diner for 6 months. And in that time, I learned to build a new version of myself. The girl who used to cry herself to sleep was gone. I was refilling a customer's coffee cup when the bell above the door jingled again. Out of habit, I glanced up, and for a moment, my heart stopped. It was him, Tyree. He looked the same, but different. His build was a little bigger, and he wore a leather jacket that looked more worn than I remembered. But his eyes, those same warm brown eyes, caught mine before I could look away. He froze in the doorway, like he hadn't expected me either. I forced myself to turn back to the coffee pot. My hand trembled as I set it down, and I couldn't hear anything but the sound of my own pulse. Out of all the diners and all the towns, why this one? Why now? He walked toward the counter, his boots heavy against the tile. My back was to him, but I could feel his presence. When he finally spoke, his voice was low and careful. Brianna. I closed my eyes and exhaled, turning around slowly. Hey, Tyree. His smile was small, almost apologetic. I wasn't expecting to see you. Yeah, well, life's full of surprises. What brings you here? Work. I'm passing through. He hesitated. I looked for you. You changed the number? I messed up, he said finally. I know I did. I just hope you can forgive me. The truth was, I had already forgiven him. I'm glad you're doing okay, Bree, he said after a moment of silence. You deserve to be happy, Bree. I am, I said. He nodded, slipping a few bills onto the counter. Take care of yourself, Tyree. You too. And just like that, he was gone. I stood there, feeling lighter than before. The weekend off felt like a breath of fresh air. I spent the afternoon at a small restaurant with my new friends from the diner, laughing and enjoying the peace of not having to work. My life had been chaotic for so long, but today it felt like I could breathe again. After lunch, I made my way back home. As I walked into my apartment, I tossed my bag on the counter and kicked off my shoes. Just as I was about to sit down and relax, my phone buzzed on the table. Hey, Brianna. Tom's voice came through the phone. Someone's here asking for you. I didn't recognize them, but they're insistent. Said they need to talk to you. Can I send them up? My heart skipped. There was only one person who would be at the diner asking for me. I froze, my stomach twisting in knots. What the hell was Tyree doing here? It had been months since we last spoke. I ran my fingers through my hair, taking a shaky breath. Yeah, send him up. I paced for a few minutes, my mind spinning, before I heard the knock on the door. My stomach dropped. I opened the door slowly, and there he was, standing in the hallway, Tyree, looking unsure but determined. This time, his posture was different. There was no arrogance, no cocky grin, just a quiet sincerity that made everything in me tremble. I shouldn't have left like that, but I couldn't stay, Bree. I needed to get my head straight. I don't want to leave things like this, not with you. I stayed silent, trying to process everything. Part of me was still hurt, but the other part, the part I couldn't ignore, still cared. Tyree, I don't know what this is anymore. I don't know what you want from me. I want you. I need you, he replied, stepping closer. I want to make this shit right. I closed my eyes for a second, taking a breath. I wasn't sure what I wanted. I wasn't sure what I was supposed to do. We both stood there in silence, the weight of everything hanging between us. I fucked up. I don't expect you to forgive me right away, Bree, but however long it takes, I'm willing to wait. I looked at him, and for the first time, I saw something real in his eyes, the sincerity.
I could hear the regret in his voice, see it in his face, but it didn't hit me the way it once would have. I just felt done. I hear you, Tyree, and I appreciate you coming to say this, but the truth is, we never should have happened in the first place. You was Aunt Rita's man, and no matter how things played out, that was a line we crossed that we never should have crossed. I let out a small sigh, not from anger, just acceptance. I don't hate you. I don't even wish you bad. I just need to move on, and I need you to do the same, without me. Please don't come back here. Just let this be what it is. Take care of yourself, Tyree. And before he could say anything else, I closed the door, leaving the past right where it belonged.